No job is worth your life. My job makes me suicidal and I think I'm going to quit. I've tried for so long to stick it out, but I keep wanting to die because of it. It dawned on me today that it's not worth it. My life is worth more than my toxic employer, shitty salary, and shitty benefits. If anyone else is in the same boat, you're worth it. I felt the same when I was in food service. I would walk to work and think, man, if I got hit by that city bus today, I wouldn't have to go into work. That's when I knew it was time to leave. As a millennial, I'm so glad you younger kids out there are starting to notice how BS the system is and are starting to walk away from it. I found this Reddit thread to be highly relatable because I went through something very similar, and I'll quickly share with you my personal story of how I escaped the 9-to-5 grind. About 11 years ago now, I was in my early 20s and really struggling like a lot of you out there. I was never suicidal, but I did get to a point where I didn't care if I died, if that makes sense. Just like the Reddit commenter, I never got to a point where I would intentionally jump out into traffic, but I did start crossing the street without looking both ways and without really caring because I was living in such poverty, I felt like I had nothing to lose. Eventually, I found out about and started doing clinical trials where you go into a medical facility and they test pharmaceutical drugs on you. It sounds scary, but I had absolutely no fear walking in, as working a normal job made me so miserable. I had nothing to lose at that point. It turned out to actually be not that bad, and so I ended up doing those for a year and eventually saved up enough money to buy a one-way ticket out of the country. My delusional boomer mom was so pissed off about me doing these trials, saying that I was damaging my body and sacrificing my health for money. I couldn't help but laugh at the sheer delusion of this logic, as she was somehow oblivious to the fact that a 9-to-5 job is actually way worse for your health. In fact, it's probably the absolute worst thing you can do for your health, which a lot of you are waking up to now. I felt the same way about my last job. I was getting migraines from stress and had a knot in my stomach every day I had to go in. In retrospect, I should have spent more time looking for another job before I impulsively quit. But I do feel much better now that I'm free. If you can hold on long enough to line something else up, that's the smart move. But you have to do what's best for you. I've almost died from work. Heat-induced collapse while landscaping, and was only saved by dragging myself into a pool. I agree that no amount of scraps these slave masters throw us is worth it. My job was making me suicidal as well, with migraines 2 to 3 times a week and messed up my health. Quitting was the best thing I ever did. The 5 months it took to find a new job was stressful, but still nowhere near as bad as that job was. It gave me a chance to work on my mental health and reconnecting with what matters. I spend a lot of time on this channel telling people that they should just avoid working at all costs because of how bullshit wages and working conditions are these days. Do what you have to do to survive without a job, and don't feel any shame for it. If you have to do what I did and leave the country, if you have to go on welfare or live with your parents, if you can start your own business or YouTube channel, literally anything is better than working at this point. Most of you also see how BS garbage the system is and agree. But there's always the occasional delusional boomer or corporate shill in the comments being like, no, you should still work hard. And they always come up with pathetic excuses that progressively get even more pathetic. It started with, oh, you should work to make money. But as we've pointed out on multiple occasions, working doesn't even make you money anymore, as job-related expenses now cost more than the job actually pays you. So the next pathetic excuse they came up with is, oh, you should work, so at least you won't be homeless. Except now, there's literally people working 60 hours a week who are still homeless because that's how dogshit employers and their wages are now.
Hi there, my name is Tyler, and even though I work 50 to 60 hours every week, I'm homeless living here in my car. Today is Thanksgiving, and I'm spending it here in my car. When I was being evicted from my apartment, which I paid my rent on time for 3 years, there was no help for me. Yet our government has sent over $300 billion this past year to foreign countries.
So the next excuse they came up with is, well, you should work so that you at least won't die. But as we see now, modern jobs are literally killing people, whether that's by immediate workplace accident or long-term accumulated stress. I really wonder what the next pathetic corporate shill excuse is going to be at this point. Oh, you should work because sure you might die, but at least you'll go to heaven afterwards. Seriously, I'm actually looking forward to what they'll be saying in the comments this time. How do you justify working when it's literally killing people and driving them to an early grave? Life comes first, always. You should never miss a kid's birthday, never miss a planned vacation, never become depressed due to work, etc. Business culture would have you believe work comes first, and they did that on purpose. They dictated the narrative and pay you garbage. You're a mule to them. Remember, though, that despite work culture dehumanizing you, you're a person and you deserve more. Always remember that your employers can always find a replacement for you, but your family can't. I know it's hard to let go of a job that's sustaining your life, generates your income, but we work because we want to live. But if we're going to die because of it, what's the sense? Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. Working will kill you. It's just a matter of when and not if. If you're unlucky, you'll randomly die any day in a horrific workplace accident, like what happened with this poor 19-year-old girl at Walmart recently. If you're lucky, you'll accumulate a bunch of the symptoms of work-related stress over the course of decades and die a slower and more prolonged death. Either way, it's the same result in the end. But there is a silver lining to all of this. Quite a powerful one, actually. Once you realize it's quite literally your life at stake here, you realize that you have nothing to lose, and you become totally fearless. You can go out and take whatever risk you want. This is exactly what I realized, which is what gave me courage to do those clinical trials and eventually move abroad. And so, my message to the younger generation is this. I understand a lot of you are feeling lost in this world right now, but that's only because you're forced to play their game by their rules. A lot of you have already realized how unfair and rigged the game is, so you've just completely stopped playing, and that's great. But what if you could take it a step further? What if instead of playing the game or quitting their game, what if you could change the game itself? What if we could create a new world and a new culture where we didn't judge a person's worth purely by how much money they make? What if we created a world where work wasn't the most important thing in life? Best thing is, we don't even need any money to start these cultural changes. These days, it's free to spread your ideas and influence. Change the game, Gen Z. Change the game. You're probably wondering at this point, I'd love to quit working, but how do you survive without money? There's actually a ton of cheat codes I discovered in my 15-year journey of escaping the 9-to-5 from cheap meals to volunteering for free accommodation, which I go in detail about in this video right here. Check it out. I'll see you there.